Yeah, what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. It's your boy Jay. I'm here to say I got another story time today. Today's story time is pretty interesting. Today's story time about the time where I caught my friend's grandpa watching R-rated videos. So let's get into it. So this story time takes place back when I was 15, which wasn't that long ago, and I was over a friend's house. We'll call this friend David. So David, he was he was one of those friends that I had that was like a geek, but he was not one of them like school type of geeks. Like he was a geek as in like he liked stuff like science and stuff, but he make it to where like it's fun. To where like if you ever heard of like game theory or something, like like almost like almost like Matt Pat from Game Theory. He was like one of those people where like it'd be like something fictional and he'd on his free time just be like, hey, I wonder if that's possible, or oh, let's do this, or he'd like do science experiments and stuff like that. So one day I was chilling with him and we were just chilling, like not really doing anything. He was like, bro, I've been working on this experiment lately. And I'm like, all right, like, what's the experiment? He's like, well, I want to see if I can like get rid of viruses on computers. And I'm like, all right, like, that sounds cool. I'm pretty sure you can make some money from that or something like that. So he was like, yeah, only problem is I'm too scared to actually put a virus on my computer. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, cause the whole family uses it. Now, he lived with his grandpa, his grandma, him, and his brother. So it was 4 people in the house. And basically what he was saying was that since it was a family computer, he didn't want to look up any site, get a virus, and then he couldn't beat the virus, and yeah. So I was like, oh, alright, well, like, I guess that's the end of the project. And he was like, no, but I really want to do this. And I'm like, you really want to put a virus on a computer just to see if you can, like, get rid of it? Like, that's nice, but is it that serious? Like, and so he was like, you know what, you're right, it isn't that serious. And I'm like, all right. So we keep going, and it gets to around like dinner time, and we're just sitting there, we're kind of bored. His grandma was like, hey, go get your grandpa, it's time to eat. And I was like, he was like about to go get his grandpa, but I was like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom, so I'll get him. So I go to the bathroom, I handle my business, wash my hands, and the way it was set up was the bathroom was like literally you walked up the steps and the bathroom was like the first thing that you see into your left, and then like the grandmom and grandpa's room was the first thing you see into the right. So I opened the bathroom, I walked past, and it smelled like they were making like chicken or something. So I walk past the steps and I go to the grandpa's room and I knock on the door. Cause just out of respect for people, I tend to knock on the door because like, you don't want to catch them doing something crazy. So I knock on the door, he doesn't say anything. I knock on it again, he don't say anything. So I'm like, all right, he might be asleep. I'm gonna just, see if he's asleep. I crack the door open and I just see him, and he had like this kind of gamer chair. He was a cool grandpa. He had like this gamer chair and he was like sitting there, and I could see like his monitor was kind of like turned a little bit towards him. He was just sitting there, but I could tell that like the chair was moving, like he was doing something. So I'm like, oh, he's probably like watching something or something like that. So I opened the door all the way because he had headphones on, and I tapped him on his shoulder. And as I tapped him on his shoulder, all I see is like his grandpa jump and like immediately go for like the mouse. And when I seen him go for like the mouse, I was like, no, there's no way. I look, and this is YouTube, not RedTube, but he was on RedTube. Like he was on a site like RedTube, but it starts with P, ends with hub, and yeah, it was yeah. So he goes to reach for the mouse. The second I see him reach for the mouse, and I see, wait, there's no controller in his hand, I just immediately like turn around and just walk out the room and like slam the door. And he gets downstairs eventually, and he's like, Jay, how you doing? I didn't know you were here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm straight. Basically, he was trying to play it off like nothing happened, and I hoped nothing happened. So I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna just go along with it. So I'm like, yeah, it kind of took you a little while to get down here. And he's like, yeah, handling some business. And I'm like, yeah, business. Ha ha ha. So we eat the dinner, and I'm like, hey, I gotta go. And like the grandma was like, okay, well, ask the grandpa if he could drive you home. And I'm like, all right. So I tell my boy David, yo, I gotta go. I'm gonna ask your grandpa if he could drop me off. So he's like, all right, I'll go in there and ask him. And the grandpa was like, yeah, but David, you stay here. I need to have a conversation with Jay. And when he said that, I was like, no, no, I don't want to talk about this. So he gets in the car. I get in the back seat. He's like, no, get in the front seat. There's no one else here. And I'm like, all right. So I get in the front seat, and we start driving. And David didn't live that far away from me, but I could tell the grandpa was kind of he was kind of like trying to. It was like he wanted to talk to me about it, but at the same time he didn't. So he was trying to just like prolong how like talking to me about it. But eventually, he like cut his little like old school music off, whatever he was listening to, because he was listening to music while driving, and he was just like, "Yo, I know you seen some things. That's not usually me." And in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, but like, you know, like I'm not trying to talk about this. You know, everybody has their bad moments. Everybody needs them a little jerky jerk sometimes, but I'm not trying to talk about this with you. And he's like, look, I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry, and next time knock on the door. And I was just like, okay, even though I did knock on the door. He had headphones on. Obviously, he couldn't hear me knock on the door because he had the headphones on. And he dropped me off. He was just like, have a nice day. And he put his hand out. And I kind of just awkwardly looked at him and kind of like nodded up as in a, yeah, like, all right. And walked to my house. And he knew why I wasn't trying to touch his hand. We all know what was in his hand before he went to go shake my hand. So I'm not touching your hand, bro. No. And yeah, I went home. Probably went to sleep or something. I don't know. But that's the story time. If you guys enjoyed that story time, make sure you smash the like button, turn on post notifications, and subscribe to join J Gang. There we go. That's the subscriber name, J Gang. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Whoop!